who also came to the same conclusion, that this was a lovely impulse but not the right decision for the show.
The producers decided that they needed a big actor with a big stage presence and a big voice. And Lloyd Webber had the perfect man in mind. Michael Crawford was well known for his TV comedy role as Frank Spencer in Some Mothers Do Have Them.
Left together, point. And right together, point.
It sounds as if I'm sort of claiming the credit for everything, but well, I'm not really, but it was my idea to go to him. I knew a bit about his singing voice, and his singing teacher was Sarah's singing teacher too, you see. So I was able to build up a bit of a picture about him.
Early one morning, just as the sun was rising, I heard a maiden singing the valley.
It didn't actually cross my mind to think that I'd be considered for Phantom. It was so off the wall. I'd been associated with comedy for so many years. And then suddenly, out of the blue, Andrew contacted me to come in and see him.
I've been articulated.
And he played the overture. And the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I could feel this man. I could just feel him.
Andrew called me. And he said, I have an idea, Michael Crawford. Wow. Can you fly over? I flew over.
He hadn't the faintest idea who I was, and Andrew had blown my trumpet for me and said, oh, you know, we've got to use him, Hal. I mean, I think he's just perfect. And Hal's going, well, yeah, you know, like, who is the guy?
And don't forget, smile.
And then I had to sing for him.
Nighttime sharpens, heightens each sensation.
Crawford had been practicing the Phantom's theme for weeks.
And Andrew said, well, it really was wonderful. And knowing you, he said, I know you're going to work so much harder on it. I thought, what? I've been doing 6 hours a day for 2 months, and I thought, that's the best it's ever going to be, Andrew. So I said, yes, Andrew, yes, absolutely. I'll be working day and night on this one.
Steve Harley was blissfully unaware that he had a rival.
Everything should have been hunky-dory, and it should be ready to be announced by then. My agent called me and said that I think Cameron McIntosh, as I recall, had called him and said the deal's off.
Harley was given £20,000 compensation, but no explanation.
There was no hint that they were unhappy with me or that they were seeing anyone behind my back, two-timing me.
2 weeks after Harley was sacked, the actor known to everyone as Frank Spencer was announced as the Phantom.
When Andrew first told me, we were having lunch, and I was having a bowl of soup, and my spoon was on the way up to my mouth, and he said, we've got the Phantom. And I said, who is it? He said, Michael Crawford. And that spoon never got to my mouth. I went, Michael Crawford.
Ooh. That was big stuff, because I only thought of him as being a silly comedian on television who fell over his own feet.
Okay.
What most telly viewers didn't know is that Crawford already had a big stage career, starring in the hit musicals Billy and Barnum.
He did the most amazing physical things. He was the master of transformation, of physical agility. You have to have a beast to have a success in musical theatre, and Andrew Lloyd Webber got one of the biggest beasts in the jungle in Michael Crawford.
But the Beast of the Jungle was also known to throw the odd beastly tantrum. In bitchier theatre circles, He was nicknamed Joan Crawford, after the Hollywood diva of old.
I had to get the ground rules set with Michael from the outset, so I took him to lunch, and I said to him, I think you're wonderful. You're going to be wonderful in this, Michael, but I just want you to know that this is never going to be a star vehicle. If I could sing it, I'd be in it. And you have to know that now, or you're going to be miserable, and we're going to have terrible rows. Well, for an afternoon he was miserable. He went out, nearly broke his foot kicking the bollard outside the Neal Street restaurant where I told him.
The Phantom was the last link in the chain. Auditions for the other parts had been going on for 3 months, with cues like a pop idol casting.
I'd done auditions before, but it was something about this one. There was a different vibe that I've never experienced before or since. There was something about this show that just made you think, wow, this is something special.
So what we call a cattle market.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people came, and so we did. I think the first one was at Sadler's
Yes,
Wells.
that's right. There's thousands of us there, wasn't there?
And then gradually we got called back to sing about 6 times, I think.
Yeah.
One actor was hoping to get the part of the stagehand, Bouquet.
Please, monsieur, don't look at me. As God's my witness, I was not at my post. And I was shaking like a leaf. I really was shaking like a leaf. Eventually, we lined up. And they said, you, step forward. We've been told, you are the core member of the Phantom of the Opera.
But the Phantom had yet to look like the Phantom. Making Crawford look grotesque, yet sympathetic to the audience, was the task facing the makeup artist, famed for his work on the film The Elephant Man.
So this is the room where I do the modelling and sculpture and the design, really. And this is where Michael would sit and I'd be working on him. I came up with this arrangement here, which is cunningly designed to cause the minimum interference to his singing at the same time as producing some sort of sympathy. By lifting this upper lip here, it tends to give him something to try and pull down against, so you've got a bit of a conflict going on there.
On August 18th, cast rehearsals finally began. Over the next 2 months, this world-class collection of talent and clashing egos would strive to bring Phantom to life.
Before we start, bear this in mind. The whole first section of this is an opera.
Yeah.
And what we haven't quite found yet is that conventional, stereotypical Victorian opera behavior.
It was down to Hal Prince to coax the best performances out of his 2 stars.
What you want to do is, let's be brave. Go too far. It's attitudes. It's bigger. When you take her by the arms, really, you know, it's big stuff.
Crawford had the added challenge of performing with half of his face covered by a mask.
Damn you! You little flying Pandora! You little demon! Is this what you wanted to see?
I didn't feel the man as a monster. This man loved. He had deep, deep emotion.
Fear can turn to love. You'll learn to see, to find the man behind the monster. This repulsive carcass.
She sees his face. We don't, the audience doesn't, but she sees what's behind that mask early in the evening. She recoils, wouldn't we all? But then she does something very sensitive.
Oh, Christine.
And that's the moment when I think he falls in love with her.
The choreographer Gillian Lynn was assigned to help Crawford, even though she'd been suspicious